Hi folks, John Dunn here, RPG freelancer, publisher behind Meliorvia. I'm up here at Immortals Inc. with Mikey today.
What is up, John? How is it going?
It's going well. Can you say the same?
Yeah, I guess it's a nice day out. We wouldn't know because we're in the dungeon, but I mean, we're here. So.
Yeah, it is gorgeous out there, and I'm anxious to get back in it. But first, I want to talk about someplace maybe a little more seedy than
I mean,
place.
Obviously, it's now our time to go.
It totally is, yeah. So today, I wanted to talk about another product for Dungeon Crawl Classics. We have the Lankhmar box set in stock now. Familiar with Lankhmar at all, Mikey?
No, but remember I just told you it kind of sounds like a fancy hotel, you know, on the West Coast somewhere.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from with that, but, and it is definitely coastal, but not the West Coast of anywhere I've been.
I'm probably way off. You got to let me know what
so this is another Appendix N product, which keeps popping up, right? When we're talking about Dungeon Crawl Classics.
Gygax inspiration.
Exactly. Stuff that was featured in the AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide. And this is the city of Lankhmar, which is where Fritz Lieber set a lot of his stuff. And we're going to come back to that. First, I want to just kind of dive into the product a little bit. So this is a box set. They do have a line of support products for it as well, including, I believe, another box set. The lead on this is Michael Curtis, who has done a whole lot of stuff for Dungeon Crawl Classics and some other OSR stuff. This was kickstarted in March of 2017. Kickstarter raised about $180,000 and came out in the summer of 2019. The box set has 4 volumes and some maps, and we're going to dive into those. And like I mentioned, there is a whole line of adventures to support this. So Nuhan and the city of Lankhmar was the creation of Fritz Lieber. It's a really gritty fantasy setting. So it's, kind of not a great place, but where there's a lot of bad stuff happening, right? The people there are very mercenary, and it kind of has a City of Thieves feel. And Lieber's 2 best-known characters were Fard and the Grey Mouser, who were thieves and mercenaries. And so kind of the whole basis for the thief class in D&D gets very much back to these 2 characters who were kind of willing to do whatever it took to make a buck.
It's basically a place you don't want to be out at night, right?
I would definitely say that, yeah.
Okay.
It was featured in Appendix N, as we mentioned, and it's been featured in role-playing games for decades. There was a source book for Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Mongoose had Lankhmar source material for their RuneQuest line, and Savage Worlds even has some Lankhmar supplements. But this Dungeon Crawl Classics stuff, I think, is both very true to the setting and very true to the old school D&D feel that maybe is what Gygax might have had in mind when he first started leveraging it. The first book that I wanted to talk about is The Judge's Guide to Nuhan. And Nuhan is the world where Lankhmar is. Also, Doug Kovacs did, I think, all of the cover art for this. He was the guy who also did the cover art for the Dying Earth box set that we talked about.
I was about to say, I love this art.
His old school style art here is just fantastic.
Doug, you're great.
The interior of all these are black and white and still have a lot of really slick old school style black and white art blended in there with everything else. So the Judge's Guide introduces Lieber and introduces the setting. It talks about the cultures that are present in Nuhan, talks about the languages, the gods, the calendar, and most importantly, the booze that features heavily in Lankhmar. Yeah.
Okay.
It covers a variety of different spells that are specific to the setting. It talks about patrons, and we've talked about patrons for DCC before. These are powerful entities that might be sponsoring your characters. And then it has a section on rules advice. Now remember, thieves are a big part of this setting. So one of the first bits where it talks about setting specific rules are the rules for carousing and the rules for laying low.
Of course.
So you're going to have fun when you're in Lankhmar.
And you got to lay low.
After you have the fun,
Absolutely.
Probably.
And the booze.
There you go.
The booze, obviously.
Then there's a section of legendary objects and a section devoted to how you might want to run an urban campaign. And then finally, there's a range of monsters that are specific to the setting included in this as well. The next book after the Judge's Guide is the Compendium of Secret Knowledge. This one's a little shorter, but again, that cool Doug Kovacs cover art. black and white interior. And this one covers your character creation. So this one's going to probably see a little more use because players are going to need to get their sticky hands on it, which includes things like places of origin. And it introduces basically dooms, things that are fated to go horrifically wrong for your character.
Nice.
Another thing that's worth mentioning is that in Lankhmar, most of the population is human, so it's kind of expected that your characters are going to be playing humans. But there are no clerics because the gods don't really smile on the citizens. They really kind of let fate fall where it may. There is a section in here about magic as well, and it talks about some of the stipulations, like you may have to pay a price in order to cast your magic. And then it talks about how magic might corrupt you and magical rituals and what those could mean for your characters. There's a section on combat and healing, discussion on how light armor might work better within this setting. And that's healing part talks about non-magical healing. So how long your character is going to take to recover from the horrible things that happen to them. And maybe how long their opponents need to recover from the horrible things they do to them. And then the last bit in this book talks about luck as a character attribute and the fact that luck can change over the course of the campaign or even over the course of an adventure. And luck is definitely a big factor in the way things go in Lankhmar. And then the next book is Lankhmar, the City of the Black Toga. This is a detailed setting material specifically about the city. It covers the neighborhoods, the people, the organizations that the characters can join or that they might have to fight against, and the laws, which can be, let's say, a little biased. And then there's, as is appropriate for DCC, there is a fairly chunky section of random encounters. So, just random things that your players might run into that could completely change what they had planned. The last book in here is a short adventure. This is a first level adventure called No Small Crimes in Lankhmar. It's a level 1 adventure, and that's appropriate because Lankhmar doesn't use funnels. So when you're making up your characters, you're not going to do the DCC funnel. Instead, you're going to start off with each player just having one character. And the gist of this is that the characters are hired to clear out a supposedly abandoned house. There's a map in here that is pretty awesome. I really dig it a lot. I think it'd make for a really fun intro adventure, but I don't really want to get into any spoilers on it. Last couple of things that are in here. You've got a DM screen, which has the cover art from the box set on it, and some fun random tables on the inside of it. Pretty typical one there. And we got a couple of maps that come along in the pack. The first is the map of Newhan, which is, so basically you're looking at your whole continent here. And then the second one is your map of Lankhmar itself. Big old map here, covers a very detailed city, and honestly reminds me an awful lot of Waterdeep, which honestly probably isn't all that much of a coincidence. They share a lot of the same elements.
Yeah, the map looks awesome, dude.
Yeah, so if this looks like something you might want to check out, we've got it here on the shelf at Immortals Inc. Stop in, take a look, or hit us up on the website. It is, like I said, a really comprehensive box set. All the interior work is black and white. You got your 4 paperbacks, your maps, your GM screen, and it's $60. Stop in, take a look.
I also love that glamorous Dungeon Crawl Classics,
A little bit of glitter.
Yeah,
We
glitter
got
on
the logo
all of it.
there.
I mean, it's always like
It's
that.
a nice
I didn't
touch.
even notice. But
Yeah.
Thank you, my friend. Well said. And everybody go check it out. Have a good one.
Good gaming, folks.